Chapter 10, Part 1 of Moonfleet. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Rob Powell. Moonfleet by J. Mead Faulkner. Chapter 10, Part 1. The Escape. How fearful and dizzy 'tis to cast one eyes so low. I'll look no more, lest my brains turn. Shakespeare. The wild chalk was a bulwark between us and the foe, and though one or two of them loosed off their matchlocks, trying to get at us sideways, they could not even see their quarry, and 'twas only shooting at a venture. We were safe, but for how short a time? Safe just for so long as it should please the soldiers not to come down to take us. Safe with a discharged pistol in our grasp and a shot man lying at our feet. Elzevir was the first to speak. "Can you stand, John? Is the bone broken?" "I cannot stand," I said. "There is something gone in my leg, and I feel blood running down into my boot." He knelt and rolled down the leg of my stocking, but though he only moved my foot ever so little, it caused me sharp pain, for feeling was coming back after the first numbness of the shot. "They have broke the leg, though it bleeds little," Elzevir said. "We have no time to splice it here, but I will put a kerchief round, and while I wrap it, listen to how we lie, and then choose what we shall do." I nodded, biting my lips hard to conceal the pain he gave me, and he went on. "We have a quarter of an hour before the posse can get down to us, but come they will, and thou canst judge what chance we have to save liberty or life with that carrion lying by us." And he jerked his thumb at Maskew, though I am glad 'twas not my hand that sent him to his reckoning, and therefore do not blame thee if thou didst make me waste to charge in air. So one thing we can do is to wait here until they come, and I can account for a few of them before they shoot me down. But thou canst not fight with a broken leg, and they will take thee alive. And then there is a dance on air at Dorchester jail. I felt sick with pain, and bitterly cast down to think that I was like to come so soon to such a vile end. So only gave a sigh, wishing heartily that Maskew were not dead, and that my leg were not broke, but that I was back again at the Why Not, or even hearing one of Dr. Sherlock's sermons in my aunt's parlour. Elzevir looked down at me when I sighed, and seeing, I suppose, that I was sorrowful, tried to put a better face on a bad business. "Forgive me, lad," he said, "if I have spoke too roughly. There is yet another way that we may try, and if thou hadst but 2 whole legs, I would have tried it, and now 'tis a little short of madness. And yet, if thou fearest not, I will still try it. Just at the end of this flat ledge, farthest from where the bridle path leads down, but not 100 yards from where we stand, there is a sheep track leading up the cliff. It starts where the undercliff dives back again into the chalk face, and climbs by slants and elbow turns up to the top. The shepherds call it the zigzag, and even sheep lose their footing on it. And of men, I never heard but one had climbed it, and that was Lander Jordan when the excise was on his heels, half a century back. But he that tries it stakes all on head and foot, and a wounded bird like thee may not dare that flight. Yet, if thou art content to hang thy life upon a hair, I will carry thee some way, and where there is no room to carry, thou must on hands and knees trail thy foot." It was a desperate chance enough, but came as welcome as a patch of blue through lowering skies. "Yes," I said, "dear Master Elzevir, let us get to it quickly, and if we fall, 'tis better far to die upon the rocks below than to wait here for them to hale us off to jail. and with that I tried to stand, thinking I might go dot and carry even with a broken leg. But 'twas no use, and down I sank with a groan. Then Elzevir caught me up, holding me in his arms, with my head looking over his back, and made off for the zigzag. And as we slunk along, close to the cliffside, I saw, between the brambles, Maskew lying with his face turned up to the morning sky. And there was the little red hole in the middle of his forehead, and a thread of blood that welled up from it and trickled off onto the sward. It was a sight to stagger any man, and would have made me swoon perhaps, but that there was no time, for we were at the end of the undercliff. And Elzevir set me down for a minute before he buckled to his task. And 'twas a task that might cow the bravest, and when I looked upon the zigzag, it seemed better to stay where we were and fall into the hands of the posse than set foot on that awful way and fall upon the rocks below. For the zigzag started off as a fair enough chalk path, but in a few paces narrowed down till it was but a whiter thread against the grey-white cliff face, and afterwards turned sharply back, crossing 100 feet direct above our heads. And then I smelt an evil stench, and looking about, saw the blown-out carcass of a rotting sheep lie close at hand. "Faugh," said Elzevir, "'tis a poor beast has lost his foothold." It was an ill omen enough, and I said as much, beseeching him to make his own way up the zigzag, and leave me where I was, for that they might have mercy on a boy. "Tush," he cried, "it is thy heart that fails thee, and 'tis too late now to change counsel. We have 15 minutes yet to win or lose with, and if we gain the cliff top in that time, we shall have an hour's start, or more, for they will take all that to search the undercliff. And Maskew, too, will keep them in check a little, while they try to bring the life back to so good a man. But if we fall, why, we shall fall together, and outwit their cunning. So shut thy eyes, and keep them tight until I bid thee open them." With that he caught me up again, and I shut my eyes firm, rebuking myself for my faint-heartedness, and not telling him how much my foot hurt me. In a minute I knew from Elzevir's steps that he had left the turf and was upon the chalk. Now, I do not believe that there were 6 men beside in England who would have ventured up that path, even free and untrammeled, and not a man in all the world to do it with a full-grown lad in his arms. Yet Elzevir made no bones of it, nor spoke a single word, only he went very slow, and I felt him scuffle with his foot as he set it forward, to make sure he was putting it down firm. I said nothing, not wishing to distract him from his terrible task, and held my breath when I could, so that I might lie quieter in his arms. Thus he went on for a time that seemed without end, and yet was really but a minute or two, and by degrees I felt the wind, that we could scarce perceive at all on the undercliff, blow fresher and cold on the cliffside. And then the path grew steeper and steeper, and Elzevir went slower and slower, till at last he spoke. "John, I am going to stop, but open not thy eyes till I have set thee down and bid thee." I did as bidden, and he lowered me gently, setting me on all fours upon the path, and speaking again, "The path is too narrow here for me to carry thee, and thou must creep round this corner on thy hands and knees. But have a care to keep thy outer hand near to the inner, and the balance of thy body to the cliff, for there is no room to dance hornpipes here, and hold thy eyes fixed on the chalk wall, looking neither down nor seaward." 'Twas well he told me what to do, and well I did it, for when I opened my eyes, even without moving them from the cliffside, I saw that the ledge was little more than a foot wide, and that ever so little a lean of the body would dash me on the rocks below. So I crept on, but spent much time that was so precious in travelling those